Today, we've got an absolutely wild story for you. It's about a creature that was basically a myth, a ghost lost to science for decades, the world's largest bee. And trust me, this is so much more than a story about an insect. It's a real life tale of adventure, of history, and a modern day quest to find a living legend. No, I'm serious. Just stop for a second and picture it. A bee the size of your thumb. For most of us, that's pure nightmare fuel, right? But for scientists, it was this legendary, almost mythical creature. It was so big and so ridiculously hard to find that for years, people seriously wondered if it even existed anymore. So just how big are we talking? Well, let's put it next to a regular honeybee, something we all know. Wallace's giant bee is almost 3 times longer, with a wingspan stretching to about 6 centimeters. That's wider than a credit card. It's less like a bee and more like a small, buzzing bird. This thing isn't just a big bee, it is a true giant of the insect world. Alright, so why was finding this bee again such a massive deal? To really get that, we need to rewind the clock. We've got to go way back to the very first time this legendary insect ever made it into the pages of science. This right here was the very first description of the bee. It was written by the famous British naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace. Yep, the guy who cooked up the theory of evolution right alongside Charles Darwin. He stumbled upon this bee on a tropical island in Indonesia way back in 1858, and he was just blown away by its size and these crazy huge jaws that looked like they belonged on a stag beetle. And then, poof, it was gone. After that one incredible discovery, the giant bee just became a ghost. It's like it never even existed. For more than 100 years, it was seen, it was documented, and then it just completely vanished from the scientific map. I mean, just look at this timeline, it's pretty wild. After Wallace finds it in 1858, radio silence. A full 123 years go by before an entomologist named Adam Messer manages to find it again in 1981. He studied it, he documented its home, its behavior, but then after he left, it disappeared all over again, this time for nearly 40 years. You know, this long absence is what really turned the bee into a legend. For insect experts, it became the ultimate prize, the holy grail. People launched expeditions, they searched through dense forests, and nothing. Nobody could find it. The fear was that it had just quietly gone extinct, a giant that the world had lost to time. But here's the thing about a good mystery. It's just too tempting to leave alone. The story wasn't over. In 2019, a brand new team of explorers decided, you know what, we're gonna go find that ghost. And this wasn't some random group of hobbyists either. This was a dedicated crew. You had photographer Clay Bolt, entomologist Eli Wyman. I mean, these guys were the dream team. They had the expertise in photography, insect biology, and animal behavior to actually pull this off. And they didn't just go in blind. Oh no, they had a solid plan. They took Adam Messer's notes from 1981 and used them like a treasure map. They knew the bee lived in a very specific place, inside active termite mounds in the forests of Indonesia's remote North Moluccas Islands. So they studied satellite maps and then they hit the ground, ready to start the search. But of course, the jungle doesn't give up its secrets that easily. For days, they were trekking through this hot, humid forest, checking one termite mound after another. They'd spend a half hour at each one, just watching, waiting. Their hopes would shoot up when they saw something, only to realize, nope, it's just a wasp. You could imagine the frustration just building and building, and their time was running out. And then, on the very last day of their expedition, just as they were probably thinking this was all for nothing, everything changed. This was it, their last shot. Day 5. The stakes were as high as they could possibly be. It was now or never. Their local guide, who was just an essential part of the team, points out a nest. It was on a tree, just a little above their heads, and it looked different. Something about this one just felt right. So the photographer, Clay Bolt, climbs up to take a look. He peeks inside the opening of the nest, and I'm guessing his heart just stopped. Because right there, staring back at him, was the legend itself. It was her, a living, breathing female Wallace's giant bee. Exactly like the descriptions from all those years ago. The ghost was real. After 38 years of silence, the world's largest bee had been found. You can just feel the pure shock and awe in Clay Bolt's words here. He called it a giant flying machine, What a perfect description. You can almost imagine that moment. The silence of the forest suddenly broken by the sound of those massive wings. A creature from a textbook, suddenly incredibly real. So, finding the bee was this unbelievable adventure, right? But the story doesn't end there. Actually, the most important part of the story is just getting started. The race to make sure it doesn't disappear all over again, but this time for good. The official conservation folks, the IUCN, they list Wallace's giant bee as vulnerable. Now, that's a technical term, but what it really means is that this species is facing a high risk of going extinct out in the wild. So finding it, that was just the first step. The real fight to keep it around is just beginning. And the threats it's facing are really serious. Its home, these lowland forests in Indonesia, is being cleared like crazy for farms. There are mining operations destroying the habitat. And maybe the scariest part, because it's so incredibly rare, it's become a target for collectors. There are no laws protecting it, so single dead specimens have been sold online for thousands of dollars. That creates a really dangerous reason for people to go looking for it. But this rediscovery is also a huge symbol of hope. You know, as Robin Moore from Global Wildlife Conservation said, finding the bee is the first critical step. It's proof that it's still out there, and that gives everyone a reason to fight. It's a rallying cry to protect its very fragile island home. And so that's the big question we're left with, isn't it? This giant bee has been pulled back from the edge of being just a myth. But is this incredible second chance going to be its salvation? Or are we just getting one last look at this amazing creature before it vanishes for good? The answer to that really depends on what we all do next.